you haven't heard of Shootout yet on Quest, it's for good reason. This multiplayer VR shooter barely came out a month ago, and yet already it's making the most popular free games on the MetaQuest store list. People are describing this as a mix of Population 1 and Overwatch. The unique thing about this shooter is there's different weapons and modifiers, and you basically build your own hero based on what choices you're making of how you build your gun on your arm, what kind of modifiers you use, and the game even states you're one part swap away from becoming a carry, a support, or even a mobility hero. This game has PvE mode, 3v3 PvP modes, and then different types of game modes to play against each other. Although the game is free, beware, there is coins in the game, and the only coin pack they advertise in the store is $80 for 21,000 coins. With this being new, it's still racked up nearly 400 ratings at about a 4.2 rating. People saying it's actually a fun game to wind down and have a good time. People saying it's amazing, most innovative shooter on Quest. It's the best hero VR FPS mechanics, and mostly 5-star ranks, but if you go looking to see what people said about the game they didn't like, some people said it ultimately gets boring, or a lot of people were complaining about the matchmaking in the game taking too long, not letting them set up with their friends, and some people saying it just feels like the game is still early. With all that going on, it's free to try. It's still pretty early, so the community isn't quite as toxic as a lot of these shooters seem to get over time, at least when I was in the game. So I'd recommend checking out the game, especially now while it's early, and like every other game on this list, there will be a direct link in the comments and description down below. Gun Raiders is another free-to-play shooter now on Season 8. This is a game that features mechanics like jetpacking around, climbing on the walls, as they say, monkey style. The game does have an in-game currency, but they do advertise you can play loot levels and get a lot of those coins free. The game added a battle royale mode that's really popular, of course assault, free-for-all, deathmatch, tons of different game modes. And with this being out a few years now, it's got nearly 5,000 ratings, still giving it a bit of a lower score at just barely over 4 stars. People who love the game saying it's genuinely amazing, it's their favorite game, it's why they get into VR all the time. People saying they love it, but they want to see more attachments like mags, scopes, silencers. And then if you go seeing what are the negative things people are saying about it, people are saying they're confused why it's so popular. People saying it's basically a copy of Population 1. People saying that it makes you dizzy. And of course, a lot of the low reviews citing the toxic communities you can find when you're in these. Fortunately, that's going to be a trend with all free to play and even many paid VR multiplayer shooters. It's just a problem with gaming in general. But with all that, this one pops up in the comments all the time, people suggesting check this game out, talk about it, play it. So if it's somehow one of the VR shooters you haven't played yet, it could be worth checking out. People say every VR headset has to have that roller coaster game to put someone in when it's their first time in VR, although I don't always recommend that. That's a way to give people a bad taste. And Epic Roller Coaster seems to be the one on Quest. Epic Roller Coasters gets a lot of support after it's been launched. They add all kinds of new roller coasters, although most of them do cost money. There are free ones you can get in and check out just to see what it's like or have it on hand in case you want to put a friend in roller coasters. And it even has different modes. There's a classic where you just ride the roller coaster. There's a shooter where you're riding but you're also trying to shoot targets. And then there's a race mode, although I will personally say I could never get race mode working very well. It seemed like I was always going a little too fast and flying off the track way too often. With about 4,000 ratings, it's got definitely one of the lower ratings we're going to see today at about a 3.2 star. It's a hard split in the reviews though, 40% 5-star ratings and 24% 1-star ratings. People saying it's good stuff. They even went and bought the packs. Some people saying they don't go in it often, but when they do, it's one of their favorite things to do. People saying it makes them dizzy and that's why they like it. And then people, of course, in the lower reviews citing that there's ads in the game they don't like dealing with. There's not enough maps to start off with for free. And a lot of different people citing things about if they bought something, it wasn't working later, or they originally paid for a pass that was supposed to give them all the future tracks and then they didn't end up continuing that pass. It is something you can have free on your headset in case friends want to try it and check out a roller coaster. I would say use some caution in buying stuff because that does show up a lot in the reviews about not getting it, not getting to keep it, and things like that. VRChat is not only one of the most popular games on the Quest, but probably one of the most popular VR games known in the world, whether that's all the meme videos about it or people just talking crap about it. If you don't know what VRChat is somehow, this is a fully social world online. People build all kinds of different worlds for it. You can go explore the world of Zelda inside the game. You can hang out in furry worlds. There's just unlimited possibilities and tons of people inside this game. Although with that, nearly 25,000 ratings gives it about a 3.8 star rating. People bringing up it's a great game. You can make lasting friendships and just have a good time in it. People saying it's a fun and comforting place. People giving it 10 out of 10. But of course, if you go looking for why people don't like the game, people citing it still has issues sometimes getting into the game. It can lock them out. One interesting review saying that it used to seem like a great kids game and now it's mostly adults and toxic people. And people saying that they have just met some of the most rude and vile people in this game. VRChat has amazing, beautiful worlds to check out. I would say either find friends on a Discord, someone to go explore, or if you're going to go into random lobbies, be prepared. A lot of times the people are actually nice, but you may run into some toxic people every once in a while that you end up having to ban or deal with. Not that surprising in a free social game, but still, it can leave a bad taste in your mouth if you get into the wrong lobby. Rec Room may be considered the biggest social VR game ever, not necessarily because people like it better than VRChat, but because it's just on so many platforms. When VRChat was stuck on PC or it was was much better on PC, Rec Room was available on Quest, PSVR 1, and now even mobile and other flat platforms. Rec Room is a much more controlled social environment. It has its own avatars. You can't upload your own creations into it, but you can create with a maker pen inside of the game. So you can build places, you can build games, you can play the games that are already built into Rec Room with friends. And a lot of my best early VR memories are actually playing Rec Room with people. I really loved the games and the teamwork that it took to play them together. And with that, nearly 30,000 ratings does give it a little better rating here of about a 4.2. 69% of those are 5-star ratings. People saying it's the best game ever made. People saying they love to play it every day. A lot of people drawing random pictures in the reviews, but giving it 5 stars. If you look for the lower reviews, though, more of the recent reviews citing how it doesn't seem to be working anymore on the Quest 1. It's not updating. People saying they're having issues with login. And of course, people citing that the community can suck. If you walk into a random lobby in here, I will say I've done that many times, and you're just full of screaming kids, people trying to be edgy and saying bad words. It's definitely one of those games that you can meet some really cool people, but by now a lot of them have their friend groups, so it's best to find a group on there and go play with them. Blaston has been climbing this list lately with downloads because it has a great mixed reality mode, especially for people on Quest 3 who are wanting to experience that. But Blaston is a PvP VR shooter. Basically, this is like dueling almost Old West style, where you are grabbing guns around you, shooting at your enemy across the way, and they are trying to simultaneously dodge those bullets while shooting back at you. Very fast-paced, quick rounds in this, different modes that you can play, and of course, being free to play, a lot of people have checked this game out. With nearly 3,000 ratings, about a 4.4-star rating. 76% of those are 5-star ratings. People say they weren't expecting much, but they were blown away. People saying the game deserves an Oscar, and it's one of the best free games to play on the Quest store. Not as many lower reviews, but people not liking how they paid money for it. Back in the day, it was $20, and then the game went free. People bringing up now it's not getting support for Quest 1 anymore when they actually paid for it on the Quest 1, and that's frustrating to them, and people citing a few other minor bugs. Still a positive rating, but something we've seen a lot of newer games getting dragged down once they don't support the Quest 1 as much anymore. How do you feel about that? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. Surprisingly, Gtag is actually down to number 5 on the most popular VR games. This could be because it's not getting nearly as many downloads as most people may own it by now, but it's still getting a lot of reviews at nearly 100,000 ratings. If you don't know what Gtag is, that's hard to imagine. Basically, this is a game where you play a gorilla with a unique locomotion style that spawned a million clones, where you punch the ground with your fists, and that's actually what bounces you around the course. You're trying to chase down and tag the other players, whether you're playing Infection, Simple Tag, and even new modes where you're chasing down a specific target or you're playing paintball, or paint brawl as they call it. Gtag is probably one of the most well-known VR games and probably one of the most divisive as a result, but it still has about a 4.8-star rating with 86% 5-star ratings. Just tons of people rating this game and putting just ridiculous reviews. People just saying the word monkey and drawing all kinds of different pictures. Monkey, monkey, monkey. People citing, even giving a 5-star and saying it is one of the funniest games they've ever played, but they had kids cussing at them. And if you go looking for the negative reviews, surprisingly, you get kind of the same thing. Some people giving a 1-star and drawing a picture. People saying that people are not banned. People saying that there's just way too toxic, way too many kids screaming. People saying that it's not kid-friendly, even though it's a game a lot of kids play. Gtag has definitely earned quite the reputation, although if you find the right people you play together, it's fun, it's great exercise. It's just all about finding that right community. Gods of Gravity has been climbing the most popular list, and this is an arcade-style real-time strategy game. You play a celestial god with multiple others in the same lobby with you. You're throwing all kinds of different things, planets, wormholes. But not only is this a free-to-play multiplayer game of 2 to 8 players, they've actually got a single-player campaign now you can check out if you want to just try this on your own. Different challenges. There is in-game currency, which you can buy if you wanted to spend more on it, but even without that, you can still play a lot of the game. With that, it's got a pretty good rating with about 1,500 ratings, giving this about a 4.4 star. 76% 5-star ratings. People saying it's cool, it's their favorite game, you gotta check it out. Great game, but toxic people. You're seeing a theme here with most popular free games to play, obviously. People giving it lower reviews because there's some confusion about what you do and don't have to pay for. Reviews saying that they thought you had to pay to be able to change the difficulty, but the developer responding showing that you don't. People saying the game was more fun before, but there's less people in it now. People complaining about paywalls and AI. It's a game that shows up all the time in the comments on the free games list. People saying you need to talk about this game more, you need to check it out and play it. I definitely enjoy the game when I play it, but it's not something that I spent a ton of time in. Let me know if it's something you spend a lot of time in. An interesting one showing up in the most popular free games, though it's not necessarily a game. Xbox Cloud Gaming recently made it over to Quest in beta. This means that you can play your Xbox Game Pass games on a Quest as long as you have an Xbox controller. And if you do have that, but you don't have the Game Pass, it is possible to even try out Fortnite just to see how well this works. Include this one kind of as an honorable mention because it's not really a game to me, but it unlocks a lot of games potentially. And being in beta, there's still a lot to learn, a lot changing, but there is over 500 ratings. ratings, giving it about a 3.3 star. Hard split, 39% 5-star, 27% 1-star. People saying their Quest had been gathering dust and this got them to get up and play it again. People saying that they don't own the Xbox console, but having this lets them play all the games and it's a game changer. People mentioning how they didn't have the official Xbox controller, but there's so many controllers available that will work with it. They used some $20 Amazon controller they had to play. And then people with the negative reviews saying they're having issues with getting it to work. It crashes on them. They can't download it, can't do anything. It is still considered in beta, so that's not completely unexpected. Just be aware if you go to try it, you may have to do some tinkering or fighting to try and get it to work. Vegas Infinite, if you don't recognize the name, it used to be called Poker Stars and was changed up. This is basically a gambling Vegas style simulator, all different kinds of games. In-game chips that you do unlock every 24 hours, you can get a bunch more by spinning a wheel. Luckily that way you're not necessarily gambling real money, although because of some of the gambling elements, there are certain packs that aren't allowed in certain states to even pay for them. And with all of those themes, it is actually considered a mature 17 and up game, and it tries to verify this in the game and not let any minors in. They even specify in the first tile about the game, it's not a gambling product because you can't win real money, although that one pack does let you buy some coins. Seems like a gray area. But with that, about 4 stars with over 26,000 ratings. People saying it's a good game, but they wish that there was a way to permanently opt out of it because this can be a trigger for gambling. People saying they now love it after finally winning big. People saying it is the best poker game on Quest. And mostly 5-star ratings at 58%, a 17% 1-star though. And if you go in, people saying it is rigged in their opinion. People mentioning getting banned, people mentioning unrealistic poker, and the word rigged showing up a lot in the lower reviews. If you are of age and you do like some of this stuff, it is interesting, but I will say personally, I'm not into gambling at all. We've actually went to Vegas twice in the last year because of channel stuff, and I didn't touch a slot machine or anything once. So for me, it really felt like going into a real casino, but there was nothing for me to really do beyond hanging out and playing a few rounds of poker just with friends for fun to hang out with them. But a lot of people love it. If you do, let me know what you think about it in the comments. What are your favorite games in it? As more and more of the games inside get VR compatibility, Roblox coming to Quest now puts it at the most popular free game on the MetaQuest store. That means this is getting the most downloads, most people playing it, and of course this is the full world of Roblox. If you somehow don't know what Roblox is, one of the biggest games in the world. It has a global community that's creating all different kinds of experiences in it, whether those are just social places to hang out, mini games to play together. Roblox is probably one of the most well-known games with a low age audience, although the game itself is rated teen on Quest. Nearly 5,000 ratings, putting this just about a 4-star rating. You get into kind of the same issue with reviews here as the other big games. A lot of the reviews are just 5 stars and some weird picture that was drawn. If you go down look into the 4-star reviews, it's a little easier to find some more realistic reviews. People saying it's great for the VR specific games, but some of the other games putting you into third person, not being able to see and use your hands. People saying it's their favorite game, and people citing it's still in the beta, so you are going to see lag, you are going to see glitches, and a lot of that when you get down to the 1 stars, people saying they can't get in, it's not letting them in. People citing that their account is not letting them work because they don't realize your account has to be set to 13 and up, or it's not going to let you. It's a good point as to why they try to keep the ages up, because people even in the reviews are saying their name and age, which is not something you should probably be doing anywhere like that. Although this was the most popular games that are currently out on the MetaQuest store, what are your favorites out there? What do you think should have been on this list that wasn't? This does vary a lot as more and more people download and go towards other games, or as we saw Gtag drop down because people just haven't been downloading as much. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Remember, all the games are listed down there for you to get direct links straight over to them. But thank you once again for being here with me, and I'll see you in another reality.